You know, when you sit down to map out a travel itinerary, there's this like almost universal unspoken assumption about the airport.
Right, it's just an obstacle.
Exactly. It's this stressful, fluorescent lit, highly sanitized purgatory that you just have to survive before the actual vacation begins. I mean, you know the drill.
Absolutely.
You're doing that desperate departure gate sprint, sweating through your jacket, staring down a 25-minute security line, and like essentially just praying you have enough time to grab a sad, cold plastic wrap sandwich before they close the jet bridge.
Yeah, historically, the airport is a purely functional space. It's defined almost entirely by the anxiety of leaving or, the sheer exhaustion of arriving.
Right.
The architecture and the passenger flow are historically designed for one thing, which is throughput. Just get the human bodies from the curb through the screening process and onto the aircraft.
Just move them along.
Exactly. We are physiologically and psychologically conditioned to want to escape that environment as quickly as humanly possible.
But then, you look at what's been happening in Tokyo. Specifically, if you look at the developments at Narita International Airport leading into 2026, that entire paradigm isn't just shifting, it's like completely shattered.
It really is.
We're looking at a space that has flipped the script so aggressively, it requires a total rethinking of how you plan a trip. Like if you are scheduling a trip to Japan right now, you need to literally rewrite your itinerary today to carve out at least 4 extra hours just for the airport. Seriously, trust us on this. It is no longer a transit hub. It has been engineered into this hyper-condensed, highly curated Japanese entertainment destination.
It's a profound evolution in civic infrastructure, and for this deep dive, I've been going through a really fascinating stack of documentation from 2025 and 2026 to see how they did it.
Yeah, what are we looking at here?
So we're looking at comprehensive transit and terminal blueprints, consumer behavior analyses, specifically focusing on millennials and Gen Z, and white papers on the retail and culinary ecosystem inside the terminals. And what emerges from all that data is a deliberate, highly coordinated strategy to transform dwell time into peak experiential time.
Which is just so cool. So the mission for our deep dive today is to unpack those exact strategies. We want to guide you through the hidden spots, the underlying psychology of the layout, and the specific technological mechanics that make Narita the absolute best place to start and end a journey in Japan.
Especially if you're a trend-conscious traveler in your 20s or 30s.
Right, if you're looking for an experience that doesn't just pass the time, but actually enriches your trip. So the big question is, how did a functional piece of concrete infrastructure turn into a destination that practically begs to be documented on your social media feed?
It's a massive shift in design philosophy.
It really is.
Yeah.
Let's get into the mechanics of this, but before we can talk about the biometrics of bypassing security and all that futuristic stuff, we need to talk about what you're actually doing with all that recovered time. Let's start with the most colorful sensory overload section of the airport, the condensed explosion of Japanese pop culture.
Yeah, the behavioral data is really clear on this point. What animated legacy airport retail, say 15 or 20 years ago, the strategy was heavily reliant on generic luxury goods. Duty-free perfumes, high-end liquors, mass-produced keychains.
The classic giant Toblerone bar.
Exactly. But the modern traveler's purchasing behavior has shifted. A 28-year-old traveler today doesn't necessarily want a generic luxury item. They want a narrative.
They want a story for the timeline.
Precisely. They want a specific, localized story they can share. And Narita's retail engineers understood this. They structured the commercial space to serve as a highly curated, hyper-condensed zip file of Japanese pop culture and traditional aesthetics.
And you can really see that. I was looking at the floor plans for Terminal 1, specifically the retail layout on the 3rd floor in this area designated as Tokyo Character Street.
Oh, yeah. That area is fascinating.
It is wall-to-wall pop culture royalty. Like, you've got a dedicated Pokemon store, but the merchandising strategy is what caught my eye. They aren't just stocking the standard inventory you'd find at a mall in the US or Europe.
No, they have exclusive, location-specific items.
Right. You can buy a Pikachu plushie dressed specifically in an airline pilot's uniform or a flight attendant's uniform. And then right next door is a dedicated Studio Ghibli shop, fully stocked with Totoro and Spirited Away merchandise.
It's incredibly comprehensive.
Yeah. And then you have Sanrio for the Hello Kitty demographic, Doraemon, One Piece. It's like they took Akihabara, compressed it into a zip file, and dropped it right before your departure gate.
And if we look at the logistics of travel, placing these specific intellectual properties at the departure gate is actually a masterstroke in reducing traveler friction.
Also,
Well, think about the life cycle of a typical 2-week vacation in Japan. You might visit Akihabara or the Mega Pokemon Center in Shibuya on like day 2 or 3 of your trip.
right.
You see these incredible, highly desirable pop culture items, but then you face a logistical dilemma.
Oh, I know this dilemma well.
Right. If you buy a large Totoro plushie or a fragile anime figure on day 2, you now have to lug that item onto crowded bullet trains, negotiate it into tiny hotel rooms, and protect it for 12 more days.
It becomes a total burden.
Exactly. The analysts call it the souvenir burden. By positioning these exact high-demand cultural touchstones at the airport, Narita provides a solution to that. You secure that final, vital piece of cool Japan at the absolute last second.
So you don't have to carry it anywhere except directly onto the aircraft.
Precisely.
That completely eliminates the physical penalty of shopping. And speaking of eliminating physical burdens, we have to talk about the gacha machine empire.
Oh, the gachapon zones, yes.
The terminal guides show that across all 3 terminals, they have deployed massive banks of these capsule toy machines. Terminals 1 and 2 each have over 100 of these machines lined up like a vibrant plastic wall.
And Terminal 3 has its own dedicated zone as well.
Right. They take 100 yen coins, sometimes 300 or 400 depending on the quality. But I was looking at this and trying to square it with the demographics. I mean, I have to ask, if I'm a 35-year-old business traveler, a couple in their late 20s on a honeymoon, why am I stopping to buy a plastic toy?
It seems counterintuitive.
A kid's trap? Why is the data showing adults going crazy for these things?
It's a great question, and to understand it, you have to look at the intersection of behavioral economics and the perceived value of foreign currency.
Okay.
When you're at the end of an international trip, loose physical change, the coins jingling in your pockets, ceases to be useful currency. It becomes a literal physical weight.
Oh, totally.
You can't easily exchange coins back into your home currency at a foreign exchange desk. They usually only take paper bills. So historically, travelers experience this as a point of friction. You either dump the coins in a charity bin, bought a wildly overpriced bottle of water,
Or took them home to sit in a drawer indefinitely.
Yeah.
The dreaded jar of useless foreign coins that everyone has in their house somewhere.
Exactly. What Narita's retail planners did was recognize this universal friction point and re-engineer it into an entertainment event. It is the ultimate gamification of currency exchange.
That's a great way to put it.
The gachapon machines aren't just selling toys, they're selling a micro-thrill. When a 35-year-old business traveler puts 300 yen into that machine, they aren't doing it because they desperately need a plastic toy.
Right.
They're doing it to resolve the cognitive dissonance of holding useless money. You turn the crank, you get the tactile feedback, the satisfying clicking sound, a capsule drops, and you receive a highly detailed, uniquely Japanese miniature.
And looking at the catalogs, the items in these capsules are oddly specific, right? Like, it's not just cheap plastic rings.
No, the manufacturing quality is surprisingly high. You might get a meticulously detailed miniature of a mid-century modern chair.
Which is so random.
It is. Or a bizarrely specific animal figurine doing human activities, or a high-quality cast of an anime character. It transforms a financial annoyance leftover change into a final, highly shareable moment of joy.
It takes a negative and engineers a positive memory right at the exit point of the country.
I love it. The gamification of currency exchange. You're essentially playing a low-stakes slot machine where you're guaranteed to win a tiny, weird prize instead of taking home dead weight.
Precisely.
But the reports also mention a technological solution for the people who absolutely do not want a miniature plastic chair in their briefcase. What is the mechanism behind the pocket change kiosks?
The pocket change kiosks. These are deployed across terminals 1, 2, and 3, and they represent a fascinating piece of financial technology.
How do they work? If a traveler prefers a purely digital solution, they approach this green kiosk and literally pour their mixed, leftover foreign coins and bills into a tray.
Wait, like mixed?
Yes.
So it can take mixed currency. I don't have to separate the Japanese yen from, say, US pennies I forgot in my bag.
No, it handles the sorting completely automatically. The machine uses a combination of high-speed optical sensors and electromagnetic alloy detection to instantly sort, count, and verify the currency.
Wow.
It verifies the exact denomination and origin of the coins at an incredibly high speed. And once it calculates the total value, it references real-time exchange rates.
Okay, and then what? Does it give you bills back?
No, it allows the user to digitally convert that physical money into e-money, transportation vouchers, or digital gift cards. So like Amazon or Uber credits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, credits that are immediately usable in their home country. It acts as a seamless bridge between cumbersome physical Japanese currency and digital global utility.
So you either walk away with a highly detailed miniature bonsai tree for your desk or 20 bucks on an Amazon gift card. The friction is completely gone.
Exactly. It's all about removing friction.
And this focus on the tactile experience isn't limited to just the pop culture stuff. I was reading the architectural breakdown of Terminal 2, specifically the third floor. They have this area called Narita Airport.
Yes, the Edo period street.
Right. And they didn't just put up some drywall and paint it to look old. They actually built an Edo period styled street inside the terminal. We're talking over 50 shops selling traditional crafts, ceramics, high-end sake, and even ninja and samurai replicas.
The material construction of Narita Nakamesa is vital to its psychological impact. The designers utilize traditional wood joinery aesthetics, specific tiling, and ambient lighting to mimic the atmosphere of a historic merchant street.
That looks incredible in the renderings.
And it's not simply a static museum exhibit, right? It's a dynamic retail environment. The cultural programming scheduled for 2026 includes interactive, highly immersive events happening right in the middle of the concourse.
Yeah, the event schedule is wild. They have a Heenan Aristocrat Parade planned where staff walk through the terminal in full, multi-layered historical garments.
Which is quite a sight in an airport.
And it's interactive, right? You can actually participate in kimono dress-up experiences or try on samurai armor.
Yes, and this perfectly illustrates the emerging concept of macro hospitality, or rather, micro hospitality, in this specific transit design context. The armor you mentioned isn't a cheap plastic Halloween costume.
Right, it's the real deal.
They use weighted replicas featuring the complex lamellar plates and silk lacing characteristic of authentic samurai gear. When a traveler puts that on, they feel the physical weight and the texture.
That was very tactile.
Exactly. The airport is no longer just facilitating a commercial transaction, it's providing experiential entertainment. By bringing the tactile historical reality of the Edo period directly into the terminal, they cement a powerful emotional memory.
It ensures that your last physical impression of Japan is culturally rich and highly interactive, rather than just, the sterile feeling of a security checkpoint.
Precisely.
It's a brilliant way to leave a lasting impression. But here is the massive caveat to all of this. To try on samurai armor, to agonizingly choose which Ghibli plushie to buy, or to roll 20 different gacha machines. You require one thing above all else.
Time.
Time. If you're stuck in a static hour-long security line, you aren't doing any of that. You're just sweating and staring at your watch. So how does Narita actually give you that time back?
This is where the biometric data from the 2026 reports comes in.
Right, let's dive into that because this is where the layout truly feels like the future. Let's look at Face Express.
Face Express represents a monumental leap in biometric friction reduction. It's a fully automated boarding procedure driven by advanced facial recognition technology.
Who's actually using this right now?
It's primarily utilized by Japan Airlines at Terminal 2's KMO counter and ANA at Terminal 1's CD counter. The mechanical process is remarkably streamlined, but the technology underpinning it is highly complex.
Walk us through the actual physical experience of this. Like, how does it work for the traveler on the ground?
Sure. So upon arrival at the terminal, you approach a dedicated automated kiosk. You scan your physical passport and your boarding pass just once.
Just once, okay.
Then the kiosk camera prompts you to briefly remove your mask, hat, or sunglasses. It captures a precise biometric map of your face.
And when you say a biometric map, what is the camera actually looking for? Like, how is it differentiating my face from the thousands of other people in the terminal?
The algorithms utilized, which are often based on advanced forms of local binary patterns and deep neural networks, are analyzing dozens of nodal points on your face.
Nodal points.
Right. It measures the precise distance between your eyes, the depth of your eye sockets, the shape of your cheekbones, and the contour of your jawline.
Wow.
It even compensates for different lighting conditions and angles. And once that unique geometric topology is captured and linked to your boarding data, your face effectively becomes both your passport and your ticket.
Okay, so it's basically like an easy pass toll tag, but instead of a plastic transponder stuck to your windshield, the transponder is your actual bone structure.
That is an incredibly accurate functional analogy. The transponder is your face. From that single initial touch point onward, the physical documents are largely obsolete.
This is where the time savings just compound. I mean, you do that one scan, and then you just walk. You go to the automated baggage drop. The camera recognizes your facial geometry, associates it with your flight, and takes your bag.
Seamlessly.
Right. You proceed to the dedicated Face Express lane at the security checkpoint. You don't wait for a human agent to check your ID. The automated gates read your face and just swing open.
You don't even break your stride.
And then you get to the final boarding gate. You aren't digging through your carry-on for a crumpled boarding pass while balancing a coffee. You look at the camera, the system registers you, and you walk onto the plane. You're moving through the airport, completely hands-free.
It's the ultimate flex, really. But while the operational efficiency is clear, we must address the legitimate privacy concerns.
Oh, absolutely.
Handing over highly specific biometric data, like the geometric map of your face, inherently triggers a creep factor for many travelers. People worry about permanent surveillance databases.
Right. Where does that data go once my flight takes off? Am I in a server somewhere forever?
This is where the regulatory framework of Japanese privacy law dictates the engineering. The authorities have implemented incredibly strict data lifecycle protocols to alleviate those exact concerns.
What are the protocols?
The facial data you register is legally mandated to be highly ephemeral. The system is architected so that your biometric map is automatically purged and deleted from the servers within 24 hours of registration.
Okay, just 24 hours.
Yes, it is not archived, it is not sold to third parties. It is a temporary, secure token utilized exclusively for the duration of your transit through that specific terminal.
That 24-hour deletion rule is huge for peace of mind. But beyond the privacy aspect, I was reading a section in the consumer behavior analysis regarding cortisol levels, and this fascinated me.
The psychological impact.
Yeah. It argued that this biometric tech isn't just saving time, it's physically altering the traveler.
Yes, the physiological impact is arguably the most important metric here. Travel anxiety is biologically quantifiable.
Interesting.
When you are repeatedly asked to produce documents, when you are forced to wait in slow-moving static lines, your body perceives that as a stressful environment. It releases cortisol, the primary stress hormone. You enter a mild state of fight or flight.
Just constantly on edge.
Exactly. By entirely removing the repetitive stress of document presentation and the friction of the queue, Face Express actively suppresses that cortisol spike. Because you aren't in a state of fight or flight, your body physically relaxes.
So you arrive at the airside concourse emotionally regulated rather than rushed and defensive.
Precisely. You literally get time and biological peace of mind handed back to you.
That is so cool. And that tech-forward environment isn't isolated to just the security gates. If you're navigating Terminal 3, the reports highlight the deployment of these autonomous robot guides rolling around the concourse.
Ah, the Timmy robot.
Yeah, the Timmy robots. What's the story with them?
The deployment of the Timmy robots in Terminal 3 is a prime example of physical AI solving a structural demographic issue. From a hardware perspective, these robots use SLAM technology,
Slam.
simultaneous localization and mapping. They utilize LiDAR and optical sensors to map the constantly shifting dynamic environment of a crowded terminal in real time.
Which is crazy to think about. I was wondering how they don't just constantly crash into people in a busy airport.
Right, the LiDAR allows them to navigate around luggage carts and running children without collision.
So they're mapping the space in real time. And what is the user interface like for the traveler?
They feature conversational AI screens. A traveler can walk up to one and ask in natural language for flight information, directions to a specific gate, or the location of the nearest restroom.
Okay.
And crucially, the natural language processing engines on these robots are equipped to handle 15 different languages.
15 languages. It's like having a personal multilingual concierge. But why invest so heavily in robotics for something a human at an information desk could do?
Because it addresses a severe macroeconomic reality in Japan. The country is facing an acute structural labor shortage, particularly in the service and hospitality sectors due to an aging population.
Oh, yeah.
Simultaneously, they are dealing with a massive influx of international tourists speaking dozens of languages. It is mathematically impossible to staff enough human multilingual guides to meet the demand.
That makes total sense.
So the Timmy robots provide 247 highly accurate navigational support, questions to the issues that require genuine empathy and problem solving.
It's an elegant technological solution to a very real demographic problem. Okay, so we've hacked the security lines with biometrics. We've gotten directions from LiDAR-equipped robots. But let's look at another friction point. Yes. What if you're exhausted? What if you have a massive 8-hour layover, or you just stepped off A brutal 14-hour flight from New York, and your circadian rhythm is completely shattered.
A very common scenario.
This brings us to my absolute favorite piece of infrastructure in the whole airport, the 9 Hours Capsule Hotel, or 9 Hours for short.
The 9 Hours facility, located in Terminal 2, down on the B1 level of the P2 parking building. It's a fascinating evolution of sleep architecture.
And for listeners who have never seen a modern Japanese capsule hotel, we need to paint a picture here. This is not a cramped, claustrophobic box.
Not at all.
It looks like a set from a high-end sci-fi film. You walk into this space, and you see these sleek, minimalist, curved white sleeping pods stacked in rows. It looks like a sleep bay on a spaceship.
It's very striking visually.
You check in, you get a dedicated locker for your luggage, you get access to these pristine, high-pressure showers, and then you climb into your pod.
To understand the design, you have to look at the history. The Capsule Hotel originated in Japan in the late 1970s, most notably with Kisho Kurokawa's Nakagin Capsule Tower.
Right.
It was originally designed as a cheap functional necessity for salarymen who missed the last train home. But the 9 Hours brand has elevated the concept into minimalist luxury.
Oh, so?
Well, the pods are constructed using high-grade fiberglass for sound insulation. The internal lighting is specifically engineered to mimic natural dawn and dusk cycles.
Oh, to help with jet lag.
Exactly. It directly aids in resetting a traveler's disrupted circadian rhythm. It distills the hotel experience down to its 3 essential functions: shower, sleep, and dress.
It strips away all the unnecessary hotel fluff and just gives you the perfect environment for deep rest. But here is the part of the data that completely shocked me.
The pricing structure.
Yes, anyone can walk up and pay to book a pod, or just pay 1,000 yen to use the showers. But there's a massive financial hack here for savvy travelers involving the Priority Pass network.
Yes, the economics of this are highly advantageous for specific credit card holders. Priority Pass is a global lounge access network which comes as a standard perk with many premium travel credit cards.
Right, usually you just use it to get into a lounge for some free snacks.
Typically, yes, you use it to access airport lounges for free food and seating. However, the 9 Hours facility at Narita has integrated into this network, offering a completely different tier of utility.
Walk us through the exact mechanics of this hack, because it sounds almost too good to be true.
If you present a valid Priority Pass card at the 9 Hour reception, under specific time conditions, the cost is entirely subsidized by the lounge network.
There.
Specifically, between the hours of 9:00 a.m. and 8:00 p.m., Priority Pass holders can receive up to 5 hours of capsule sleep and full shower access absolutely free of charge.
5 hours of actual horizontal sleep in a private sound-insulated pod, plus a hot shower, for free.
Correct. And if your layover requires you to stay outside of those daytime hours, or if you need to sleep for longer than 5 hours, presenting the pass grants you a substantial 300 to 400 yen discount off the standard overnight rate.
I mean, that is the definition of an elite travel hack.
Well,
The ability to reset your biological clock horizontally, wash the airplane grime off of you, and pay absolutely nothing out of pocket just because of a card in your wallet. That completely changes the calculus of a long layover.
it really does.
And if you aren't comfortable with the enclosed pod idea, I saw in the directories that Terminal 2 also has the Nodoka Cafe. It's open 24/7, and they actually have a designated physical turf area where you can take your shoes off and stretch out on the ground.
Yes. Narita is aggressively prioritizing actual physical comfort. It represents a holistic approach to the passenger experience.
It really wants you relaxed.
The behavioral data shows that a rested, biologically regulated traveler is a happy traveler. And from a commercial standpoint, a happy traveler whose cortisol levels are low is exponentially more likely to engage with and spend money in the surrounding retail and dining ecosystems.
There's the business logic. So you've just bypassed a 40-minute security line using Face Express, and your cortisol levels are rock bottom. You've had a hot shower at the 9 Hour pod, and your circadian rhythm is somewhat stabilized.
Right.
Because you aren't in a state of fight or flight, your biological functions return to normal, and a very specific thing happens. Your appetite actually returns.
It always does.
And Narita capitalizes on that biological reset perfectly with our next topic, the Japan Food Hall.
And to be clear, we are not talking about sad, reheated commissary food.
Not at all. The Japan Food Hall, which recently opened in the airside area of Terminal 2, represents a fundamental shift in airport culinary philosophy. And airside is the key term here.
Meaning it's past security.
Exactly. It's located past the security checkpoints. It's a massive 420-seat dining complex.
Yeah.
But architecturally, its defining feature is that it includes Japan's first airside outdoor terrace.
Which is insane for an airport.
It offers an unobstructed panoramic view directly onto the active international runway. I was looking at the architectural renderings and photos of this terrace, and it is stunning. You are literally sitting outside, breathing fresh air, watching a massive Boeing 787 spool of its engines and rotate off the tarmac right in front of you.
It's quite the view.
But the food lineup they've assembled inside this hall is what truly blew me away. Look at one specific vendor, Unagi Yondan Kikukawa.
A legendary establishment.
Yeah, this is a 90-year-old historic eel wholesaler. And they aren't just serving prepackaged eel, they are roasting whole, fresh eels live over a charcoal grill and an open kitchen right there in the terminal.
The operational and engineering logistics required to execute that are staggering.
Right. I was reading the terminal blueprints and thinking, how do you put an open charcoal fire in a highly secure, heavily regulated airside terminal? The fire suppression and ventilation requirements alone must be a total nightmare.
It is an architectural feat. To safely operate an open charcoal grill in an enclosed aviation environment, the engineers had to install massive, dedicated makeup air units and complex HVAC systems.
I can only imagine.
They feature electrostatic precipitators to scrub the charcoal smoke from the air before it enters the terminal's main ventilation system. They have to maintain very precise negative air pressure zones around the kitchen so the scent of the grill doesn't permeate the boarding gates.
The amount of money and engineering just to allow a chef to cook over real charcoal at the airport. Why go to all that trouble?
Because of the shift from convenience dining to the concept of the third place.
The third place.
Yes. For younger demographics, millennials and Gen Z, a meal is rarely just caloric fuel. It's a holistic experience, and crucially, it is a social media event.
A flex for the gram.
Exactly. To cater to that, the airport demanded absolute, uncompromising authenticity. The chefs at Kikukawa are utilizing traditional techniques, likely the pansai style of slitting the eel along the belly and grilling it whole without steaming, which requires intense direct heat from high-grade Binchotan charcoal. When a traveler can stand behind a glass partition and watch a master craftsman execute a 90-year-old culinary technique over live fire with an international runway as the backdrop.
That is just epic.
It's pure visual and culinary theater. It elevates the airport from a place where you are forced to eat into a standalone culinary destination where you actively desire to eat.
Culinary theater.
Yeah.
I love that phrasing. You aren't just consuming calories, you're participating in a performance. And it's not just the eel. They have Gyukatsu Kyorokatsugu, serving these visually stunning, medium rare beef cutlets with a beautiful cross-section.
Very photogenic.
They have Ginza Kagari, which is the absolute pioneer of creamy chicken patan ramen. And they have Sushi Kyotatsu. I read that Kyotatsu is serving authentic Edome-style sushi, using traditional red vinegar, and they're sourcing fresh tuna directly from the Toyosu market in Tokyo.
Yes.
The cold chain logistics required to transport fresh sushi-grade tuna from the Tokyo docks through airport security protocols and into an airside kitchen daily is mind-boggling.
It requires a flawless, expedited supply chain, but that commitment to ingredient integrity is what preserves the brand equity of these famous restaurants. They refuse to serve a watered-down, airport-compromised version of their product.
So you finish this incredible theatrical meal. But you have to save room for dessert, and more importantly, you have to execute the final task of any Japan trip, the omiyage.
Ah, the souvenir snacks.
Yes. This sourcing data highlights a massive retail push for Dipachika quality souvenirs. Dipachika referring to those legendary high-end basement food halls in Japanese luxury department stores. The quality available at Narita is matching that standard.
The dessert and souvenir strategy at Narita relies heavily on the psychology of exclusivity and the marketing principle of artificial scarcity.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Let's examine the Kit Kat chocolatory locations in Terminals 1 and 2. The standard Kit Kat is ubiquitous, but the Japanese market turned it into a cultural phenomenon.
Oh, definitely. People obsess over Japanese Kit Kats.
The airport boutiques leverage this by offering over 25 highly specific, regionally themed flavors. We are talking about sake flavor, wasabi, strawberry cheesecake, and Hokkaido melon.
The Hokkaido melon Kit Kats. The flavor science that goes into mapping those specific regional tastes into chocolate is incredible. But it's the collaborations that really show the scarcity marketing at work.
Exactly. Take Tokyo Banana, which is arguably the most famous souvenir sponge cake in Tokyo. They teamed up with Itokyomon, which is a highly prestigious historic tea house in Kyoto, to create a specific product, the matcha chocolate sand cookie.
Okay.
And here is the mechanical kicker. It is strictly exclusive to international airports.
That exclusivity is wild.
That exclusivity is the entire engine of its value. You cannot purchase that specific matcha cookie in the flagship stores in downtown Tokyo. You cannot buy it at the tea house in Kyoto.
Wait, really? Nowhere else?
Nowhere else. You can only acquire it when you have a valid international boarding pass and are physically leaving the country.
And then there's Katanukiya's Flying Panda Bomb. This is a Baumkuchen, a traditional layered cake, but it's engineered so the layers are precision cut. As you eat it, you can physically punch out a 3D shape of a panda.
Interactive food.
Exactly. It's interactive food. The social media analytics show this is insanely popular for Instagram stories because it requires the user to engage with it physically on camera.
Exactly. And why do these limited editions and interactive pastries work so effectively on the consumer? Because the geographical restriction creates a powerful scarcity mindset.
It makes you want it more.
When a traveler knows they can only purchase that specific Tokyo banana matcha cookie right here, right now, in this specific terminal before their flight boards, it alters the perceived value of the item.
That makes a lot of sense.
It turns a simple 1,500 yen box of cookies into a coveted trophy of the trip. It acts as tangible proof of their journey. It adds a layer of urgency and prestige to a highly accessible purchase.
A coveted trophy. It feels like you unlocked a secret achievement at the very end of the game. And just to round out the culinary scene, it's not strictly Japanese brands leaning into this. Global brands are adapting to the ecosystem too.
Yes, the adaptation is cross-cultural.
Shake Shack, in Terminal 1, developed a Japan-exclusive breakfast menu, which is a brilliant logistical move for early morning flights. And in Terminal 2, there is a Blue Bottle Coffee. It is the only Blue Bottle cafe located inside any Japanese airport.
A very strategic placement.
So you can get a premium, third-wave, precisely calibrated pour-over coffee right before you walk onto the jet bridge.
The retail planners have meticulously mapped the consumer desires of the modern, affluent traveler and provided high-end, exclusive solutions at every possible touchpoint.
Okay, so we know exactly what to do inside the terminals. We are eating live roasted eel, we're navigating with LiDAR robots, we are sleeping in soundproof fiberglass pods, and we're buying exclusive matcha cookies.
A full itinerary.
But let's zoom out for our final segment. Let's look at the masterclass level of actually navigating to and around the airport itself. Because the physical logistics of getting there or dealing with a massive layover can still intimidate a lot of travelers.
The transit element is crucial.
Narita is situated roughly 60 to 65 kilometers outside of central Tokyo. You need to utilize the rail network. This brings up the great train debate. You basically have two premium high-speed choices. The Narita Express, widely known as the NEX, or the Kaisei Skyliner.
The two heavyweights.
If I'm planning my route, how do I actually choose between the two?
The choice is entirely dependent on your specific geographical destination within Tokyo and your personal prioritization of speed versus transfer friction. The railway engineering and the routing logistics are completely distinct.
Let's break down the Narita Express first.
Operated by JR East, the NEX is your optimal choice if you prioritize direct, comfortable access to the major western and southern hubs of the city stations, like Shinjuku, Shibuya, or the massive Tokyo Station hub.
Right, because if my hotel is in Shinjuku, the last thing I want to do with 50 pounds of luggage is navigate a crowded commuter train transfer.
Exactly. The NEX offers a one-seat ride to those specific western hubs. It is a slightly longer overall journey time because the route it takes around the city, but you entirely avoid the physical penalty of transferring.
That convenience is huge.
On the other hand, you have the Kaisei Skyliner, operated by the Kaisei Electric Railway. From an engineering standpoint, the Skyliner is a marvel. Once it hits the Narita Sky Access Line, it operates at a top speed of 160 kilometers per hour.
160 kilometers an hour, so it's raw speed.
Making it one of the fastest trains in Japan outside of the Shinkansen bullet trains. It is the blazing fast bullet straight to the eastern side of Tokyo, specifically terminating at Ueno and Nippori stations.
Got it.
It is incredibly fast and generally more budget-friendly. However, if your final destination is on the western side, like Shinjuku, you will arrive at Ueno very quickly, but then you will be forced to navigate a busy transfer onto the Yamanote line or the subway with all your luggage.
It's basically a strategic decision based on your final map coordinates. It's like choosing your character in a video game. Are you prioritizing raw aerodynamic speed and budget, to blast your way to the eastern districts on the Skyliner? Or are you choosing the high-comfort direct route option on the NEX so you can just sit back in a plush seat and glide directly into the neon grid of Shinjuku without lifting a finger?
A very apt analogy.
You have to know your routing strategy before you buy the ticket. But let's look at a different logistical scenario. What if you aren't going to Tokyo at all? What if you just flew in from Sydney, you have a 6-hour layover at Narita, and you're waiting for a connecting flight to Europe?
The layover problem.
Yeah. 6 hours isn't enough time to take the Skyliner to Tokyo, see anything, and get back through security. Are you just stuck staring at the departure board?
Not at all, and this is where we see perhaps one of the most innovative and aggressive civic programs the airport offers. For passengers with long layovers, there is the Narita Transit program.
Who is that?
These are highly organized, volunteer-guided tours of the surrounding Chiba prefecture. And the operational model is remarkable. The guiding itself is completely free.
Wait, free?
Yes. The traveler only pays out of pocket for their local train fare and whatever food or souvenirs they choose to purchase.
I really want to dig into this because a free personal tour guide sounds incredible.
Yeah.
What kind of physical locations can you actually visit on these layover tours?
The itineraries are remarkably diverse and cater to different traveler profiles. If a transit passenger is interested in deep historical culture, a volunteer guide will escort them via local train to Narita-san Shinshoji Temple.
Oh, I've heard of that.
This is not a small roadside shrine. It is a massive, incredibly significant Buddhist temple complex with over 1,000 years of history. The tour includes walking down the Omotesando, a traditional winding approach street lined with historic wooden shops selling local crafts and freshly grilled eel.
So you go from sitting in a metal tube at 30,000 feet to walking down a 1,000-year-old temple street, all between flights.
Yes. Alternatively, if the passenger is interested in modern industrial history, they offer a specific routing to the Museum of Aeronautical Sciences in the nearby town of Shibayama.
Also very cool.
And for travelers whose primary goal is to maximize their purchasing power while the yen is favorable, they offer streamlined, self-guided transit options to massive retail hubs like the Aeon Mall or the Shizuri Premium Outlets.
So instead of trying to sleep on an uncomfortable terminal bench for 6 hours, you are walking through a historic Buddhist temple, eating fresh street food, or buying discounted sneakers.
Exactly.
But I have to push back on the economics of this. If these transit tours are entirely free for the passenger, who is subsidizing this, is the Chiba prefecture government just eating the cost of organizing these volunteer guides out of the goodness of their hearts?
They are subsidizing it, but it is a highly calculated investment. It's a brilliant execution of macro hospitality and regional economic strategy. The local government and the Narita Airport authorities are playing a very long, data-driven game.
So what's the game?
They understand that a layover passenger is essentially a captive audience. By investing the resources to give that passenger a highly curated, deeply engaging 3-hour micro-vacation in the Chiba prefecture, they are actively attempting to alter that traveler's future purchasing behavior.
They want them to come back.
Exactly. The psychological conversion rate is the metric they're chasing. The goal is that the transit passenger returns to their home country and thinks, wow, if just the rural area immediately surrounding the airport was that incredibly rich and historic, I need to book my next full 2-week vacation entirely in Japan.
That is so smart.
It weaponized our layover into a powerful experiential marketing tool for the entire country's tourism sector.
That is absolutely fascinating. They're literally turning your layover into a playable 3-hour movie trailer for your next vacation. It's an interactive billboard for the country.
That's exactly what it is.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground today, unpacking the architecture, the technology, and the psychology of this space. We have essentially built the ultimate Narita 2026 playbook.
I think we have.
Let's review the strategy. When you arrive, you're going to digitally offload your heavy, useless coins at a pocket change kiosk, or you're going to gamify that currency at a massive wall of gachapon machines.
Step 1.
If you're exhausted, you're going to utilize your priority pass to hack the system, securing a free 5-hour circadian reset in a soundproof 9-hour fiberglass sleep pod.
Step 2.
You're going to completely bypass the friction of security lines by letting the Face Express algorithms map your bone structure. You can eat authentic Kansai-style eel, live roasted over Binchatan charcoal on an open-air terrace while watching 787s take flight.
The Culinary Theater.
Yes, and you're going to walk onto your aircraft holding a box of sage-flavored Kit Kats and an exclusive Tokyo banana matcha cookie that the laws of scarcity dictate you literally cannot buy anywhere else on the planet.
It's the ultimate exit strategy.
Narita is no longer a waiting room. It is the highly curated opening act, and it is the theatrical grand finale of your time in Japan.
It represents a profound, permanent transformation in how we define the purpose and the utility of transit space.
So, to you, listening to this right now, mapping out that itinerary, when you carve out those 4 extra hours, what's going to be your very first strategic move? Are you heading straight to the gotcha wall to see what meticulously detailed miniature you pull? Or are you sprinting directly for the creamy chicken python ramen?
It's a wonderful dilemma for a traveler to navigate. And, analyzing all this data leaves us with a broader, perhaps more philosophical point to consider as we close.
What's that?
Think about what the concept of an airport used to represent: a sterile, anxious environment defined entirely by the desire to escape it. By aggressively integrating deep interactive cultural history, deploying cutting-edge biometric technology that physically lowers our biological stress markers, and investing in high-end culinary theater, Narita has entirely flipped the script.
You really have.
It forces us to ask a larger question about infrastructure. If the physical spaces we merely pass through are engineered to become just as rich, just as engaging, and just as memorable as our final destinations, how will that change the very nature of why we choose to travel in the first place?
I absolutely love that thought. When the journey isn't just the friction of getting to the destination, but the journey itself is a highly engineered destination. The next time I find myself faced with the prospect of that stressful departure gate sprint, I think I'm going to stop, let the robots guide me, and go find a bowl of ramen and a weighted samurai helmet instead.